folks, it's me, Michaela, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm finally starting a vlog that I actually meant to start a couple of days ago when I actually started reading this book, which is The Six of Crows. This is actually a reread for me, but I did get Crooked Kingdom as a Christmas gift this past December, and I wanted to reread Six of Crows before I read Crooked Kingdom just because this was a 5-star book for me, one of my best books of the year last year, and I was like, if I have a chance to relive this, why would I not do that? So here I am, I'm reading it, and I'm like halfway through it already. I know. Guys, I really was not in the mood to like have a camera in front of my face, but I really wanted to read the book, so I did, okay? Like, don't judge me. So yeah, Six of Crows, oh my god, Leigh Bardugo wrote this, by the way. If you did not know that, I don't know how you wouldn't know that. I feel like this at this point is just like known as like the fantasy heist novel. And if we know one thing about me, it's that I love a heist. And a heist is written well. There are no words to explain my adoration for Six of Crows. 5 stars. 6 stars, 11 stars, I don't even know, infinity stars. So if you don't know the premise of this book, basically we are still in the Grishaverse, which is the same universe as Leigh Bardugo's Shadow and Bone trilogy. And this This takes place a few years after the events of the Shadow and Bone trilogy, and it takes place in like a different part of the world, though it is like connected to Shadow and Bone, and there are definitely like some references to like characters that are in the Shadow and Bone trilogy. I wouldn't say it's like absolutely necessary to read Shadow and Bone to read Six of Crows. You can very easily read this and like still know what's going on. Like, you're not really going to be missing out on anything like important, but it is kind of fun to get like those like Easter egg when you're reading it, where you're like, oh, I know who that person is. Just like that. That's exactly what you sound like when you read it, right? Because that's what I sound like, and it's totally normal behavior. So in this, we are in the city of Ketterdam. I'm just realizing that I've only ever said like all of these things in my head now. We're in Ketterdam, and you meet members of the gang of the Dregs. Their like gang symbol is like a crow drinking out of the bottom of like a wine glass. So crows, that's where it comes from. And so they're one of like many gangs in this city, and for some reason they're all teenagers. I really feel like it's best to just forget all of their ages in this book and just pretend you're reading an adult novel. They don't act like teenagers. So Kaz is kind of like the main dude of this gang. He's known as Dirty Hands, and he wears gloves all the time, and everybody's like, there are many rumors why he constantly wears gloves, but nobody really knows the truth. Then there's also Inej. She is known as the Wraith, so she moves with absolute silence, and she does a lot of spying, and she also stabs people a lot. She can like climb walls. She has these special little boots so that she can climb walls. Exciting. And then there's Jesper. He is like this lanky boy. He just got lots of limbs, and he also really likes betting, which he's not very good at, so he loses a lot in card games. And he also is a sharpshooter. He loves the guns, and he's good at the aiming. Bing bing. And then there's Nina. She is a Grisha, which is the people who have powers in this world, hence Grishaverse is what it's referred to as. So she like is a Korporalnik, so she can like control bodies, and she's like a heartrender, which means she's like the attacky murder soldier kind of Korporalnik, and not the healer medicine make you better kind. Though she does know a little bit of healing because of her education. That's now 4. You see this? So then member number 5 is Wylan. That sounds really weird when I say it out loud, but that's his name. And he is, I think he's the youngest in the group, and he is like, you know, the bomb boy. He makes the explosives. And then there's Matthias, who is a former Druskella, which is like a type of soldier from Fjerda. Again, all of these words that I've like only seen in my head, and now I'm trying to like say them out loud, and I'm like, yeah, from Fjerda. I guess I should say that Ketterdam is in Kirk. Kirk is a country, and then Fjerda is a country. Nina is from Ravka, that's a country. There's another country that is called Shuhan, and there's also Novyi Zem. I'm not very good at Russian-based phonetics, so I apologize. Not my expertise. So they're in Kirk, and it starts off with a lot of like setting things up to show how badass people are, and then you also find out about Yorda Param. Yorda is normally a stimulant drug that people like chew on to like stay awake and whatever, but we discover that Yordaparam can only be used by Grisha, because if you're just a normal person, it just like kills you. You're just gone. Don't go anywhere near it. But with a Grisha, it makes them able to do things that are like unimaginable with their powers. So at the beginning of this book, of when like the plot really kind of starts getting going, it's not just like set up for atmosphere and stuff, which by the way, the atmosphere of this book is chef's kiss. Kaz gets kind of like jumped in the streets and is taken mildly hostage. He's tied to a chair by a merchant, and he tells him about this Yordaparam and how this guy Bolyu Bayar. Again, all of these words, they don't sound like this when I say them in my head. My mouth is not sounding like my head voice sounds. Does that make any sense? I feel like it really doesn't make any sense. Bo Yul Bayul. Okay, that's the guy's name. Apparently he's the guy behind this making of this drug. He invented it, and he's the only one who knows how to make it, and he hasn't told anybody else, hasn't written it down anywhere. So he's been taken hostage by Fjerda because he knows this special information, and basically everybody wants him, right? Shu wants him because that's where he's from, and they're like, hey, give him back because we're gonna run out of this Yordaparam stash that we have, and we can't make it without him. And then Fjerda wants him gone because Fjerda has this whole thing where they think Grishas are like witches and like really unnatural, and they just want to like them all, so they're like, this is why we're keeping him, this could be useful. And then everybody else is like, wow, this is really dangerous, we probably shouldn't have this out in the world. So this merchant is like capturing Kaz to be like, you are a very good criminal. We need you to break into Fjerda and take this guy back. I will give you an extremely large amount of money. And then Kaz is like, that's still not enough money. And ends up agreeing to this. He ends up agreeing to this heist mission for 30 million kruger, which is the money. So just a lot of money, a hell of a lot of money. And so he picks out the rest of the gang that I introduced to you earlier, and they have to make an extremely complex plan to break into the ice court of Fjerda in order to capture and release Bolyu Bayar to bring him back to the merchants so that they can get the $30 million. So automatically, just that alone, amazing. But along the way, you also get to learn of all of you're first introduced to this idea that there's like a lot of tensions and a lot of underlying ties in the relationships between all of these people. And then throughout their mission to do this, you also learn the history behind these things and how these tensions are there and why people are the way they are. It's just like the way it's unraveled is amazing. The way that you learn like these little trickles of information, but you don't really learn the full story of anybody until like the end of the book is so well done, and it's so captivating. Hence why I already know what happens, and I've like read half of it without updating you at all. So there you go. I feel like that's a pretty in-depth like synopsis of what happens without like giving away too much, hopefully. As you know, like I'm a spoiler talking girl. Like I don't know how to talk about a book if I'm not giving you spoilers on everything that happens. So what I'm gonna try out in this video is like talking non-spoilers, and then when I get to a point where I really want to talk about what's happening, I'm gonna put like a little spoiler border around me. Oh, cute, how nice. Hopefully like if you'll be able to like scroll to the next bit and skip ahead if that's not something you're wanting to see. But I just feel like if I don't talk about spoilers, everything I say is boring. So here we are. okay? We're heading into spoiler land. Get ready. So what's happened so far in the Six of Crows, for my second time reading it, is that everybody has been, like brought together to go on this mission. And they're meeting at the docks, and like already, like they haven't even left the place. Inej is almost dead. She gets stabbed because they're all attacked. They're ambushed. But Katz is like so smart, and he has like this boat that's like not the boat. It's like a fake boat. And they go, oh, our fake boat blew up. Everybody go to the real boat. And everybody's like, there's another boat. And he's like, yeah, oops. Go over there. And he saves Inej, and she's all like, I'm dying. So then they're like on their boat going to Fjerda. And while they're on there, we learn some histories. We learn that Jesper actually came to Care as a student. Like he was gonna go and become an educated person, and then he got like so in debt that he ended up in a gang, and that's his life now. Okay. I should also say maybe that this also all started, you get like a little mini heist at the beginning before the big heist, because in order to do the heist they need Matthias, and he is in prison. And so before you even start the heist, you get this mini heist of them breaking into the prison to like break him out. And what they do is they go there on, because apparently like once a week, the prison like has a bunch of wild, crazy animals in cages, and then they make it like a fighting ring and have prisoners fight these animals for the entertainment of rich people. Yay. So they like break him out by having this other guy, like Katz is just paying this other guy to pretend to be Matthias, and like has Nina, the Grisha, like change his face so it looks like he has this like hella bad like firepox disease or something like that. Basically he's like unrecognizable because of all the stuff on his face, and then like they take Matthias out. But the thing is that Nina and Matthias have this real weird thing going where like they clearly like tension, but then also Matthias wants to kill Nina. Like it's hate love in the fact that they both hate and love each other at the same time. And you're like, whoa, what's going on there? Like, why has Nina been trying to get Matthias out of prison ever since he went in? But when she goes there to save him, he literally tries to kill her. What's happening? So strange. So while you're on the ship, Inej, she's like dying, but then not dying because she's healing. Matthias and Nina continue to have like weird tension stuff. You learn that they were like in a shipwreck together. Strange. Mysterious. Wow. You learn from Cass that he had a brother and that he died. And you learn that this other gang leader guy is the one who killed his brother, and you learn this when he tells Inej this. And Inej is like, I didn't even know you had a brother. Weird. We also know that Inej's history is that she used to be a acrobat, like walking high wires and stuff with her family, traveling, until she got trafficked. She was abducted, and that's why she's so climbing and good at that kind of stuff. The whole boat ride is kind of a lot of like backstory learning, and then they get onto the shore of Fjerda. Like they make it, like they're like way up north because they're like, we're staying way away. Like we don't want any suspicion, so we're gonna like traverse our way down there on foot. And we learn that, okay, like, oh man, you learn that Nina is the reason that Matthias was in jail because she lied to a bunch of people and said that he was a slaver and was trying to steal her. And so that's how he ended up in jail. And this was after they spent like 3 weeks together, like trying to survive after being on a ship, in a shipwreck. But on the ship, Nina was a prisoner of his because she was caught as a Grisha. And like tension. So they both hate each other, but then they have to rely on each other to stay alive. And then she's the reason. But then you also learn that the reason she lied was because there was a bunch of Grisha there who were gonna try and like bring him back and like try him for his crimes as like a Druskala against Grisha people. So she actually put him in jail to save his life. Interesting. right? I feel like the plot overall moves so slowly, but it's because you have these 6 point of views and you're bouncing in between them all and learning their backstories along the way that it doesn't feel like it's a slow moving plot. But the reality of it is that like I have read 250 pages of this, and really like they've been on a boat for 2 weeks and then have been like walking around. And yet I'm enthralled because of all of this backstory we're getting. So you're learning like a bunch of different stories within this one really big, overarching, kind of slower moving thing. Very interesting. You learn that Wylan is actually a son of a merchant and he like ran away from home and you don't know why. They're also like attacked by a couple of Grishas who are on Yodapadam, so you get to see like how insane their powers become. Like they're literally just like making themselves float in the air, and they're like just making ground shoot up from the, they're just doing a lot. Like they can make things that into other things. They're like changing the molecular properties of stuff. It's kind of wild. And so yeah, that's like kind of where I am. They're marching, they're not really marching. They're just traversing on their way to the ice court to fill out this plan. Their plan is like to get captured and put in the prison and then like break out of the prison and then like climb up a giant incinerator and then break into the party that's happening at the ice court that day to find this guy and then just like walk out with him. It's a lot. You hear it and you have your doubts, and like they have their doubts too. Everybody is having doubts, but oh my god, I love this book. Like I really do love this book. I feel like it's so well done, and if Crooked Kingdom isn't at the same level, I'm gonna be so disappointed. So like it better be good. It better be good. That's all I'm saying. That's where I'm gonna leave you. I'm gonna keep reading. I'll come back to you later on. I'll probably have a lot more thoughts when I'm reading Crooked Kingdom because it'll be a first read instead of a reread, but yeah, guys, I love Six of Crows. I'm so happy I'm rereading it. It's so good. Okay, bye. Hi, hello. I'm back for an update. Also, my hair is curly again. I have the urge to like straighten it usually like once every 6 months. And I let it be for a few days and then we go back to normal. So here we are. I have finished reading Six of Crows for the second time. Still a 5-star read. Honestly, like this feels, I don't want to say perfect because I feel like that's like, nothing is perfect. But honestly, it's such a high tier heist story. The way things are laid out and it naturally flows so that while there's not much happening in the heist plot, that you learn all the characters' backstories, so it feels like things are still moving forward, and then you know so much about the characters once you're finally at that like peak moment near the end of the book where like everything is starting to happen and roll out. So good, so good. Six of Crows, it does end with a cliffhanger and then like the slightest little hint of how it will be resolved. Like, and when I say the slightest, I mean like it's like minuscule amount, but there's like the cliffhanger and then you like go, oh, things are moving again, and we're gonna be having a bit more heisting in the next book, but in like a very different light. Really love this. So glad I decided to reread it, and now I'm gonna be diving right into Crooked Kingdom, which will be a first read for me. And like, you know that like first read of a book, you get to flip all the pages for the first time. I'm so excited. I like really am expecting to just like mildly speed read this because I'm so excited to get into it, especially after like having read this again and being on the high of the cliffhanger at the end. But before I do start reading this, I thought I would just explain a bit. We'll be going into some spoilers. I'm not going to be going through like all of the plot because the heist is highly complex. I just want to tell you some of my favorite moments that happen in Six of Crows. So like spoilers are starting. I'll put the little border around so you can know that the spoilers are here. Firstly, like Nina and Matthias, I love them. Their like dynamic of growth and like the care they have for each other while having such different like upbringings and backgrounds and like opinions that they had formed, changing those and seeing things for like individuals instead of as like just overall concepts to like get closer to each other. It's just like so nice. I love that part. I will never not love the pure badassery of Inej climbing up an extremely hot 6-story tall incinerator shaft, okay, with no rope, while her shoes are melting off of her body. Okay, like that will never not be amazing. Iconic. Also, when you're rereading it, like you do know what happens, so it gets taken away, but I can still like really appreciate how Leigh Bardugo creates these parts of the plot where you feel it seems like things are going wrong. The plot is falling apart. The plan is not going as planned and like chaos is erupting. But then through another character's perspective, you actually learn that it's not, and you learn more things that change how you view the scene you just read. And that is like so good. I also really love how once the huge heist kind of plan of action gets going, once they reach Fjerda, that it has the elder clock to like ground you through all of the jumping points of views in the different places where the group has like split up. They have like timed their plan to the elder clock, which chimes every 15 minutes, because the Fjerdans they're really about punctuality. Okay, they always want to know what the time is. And so chapters start saying what time it is in reference to like the clock ringing, and that gives you some kind of grounding of following like what's happening where, despite things happening different places with different people. Just so good. Also, like learning Kaz's background, I think it's so well developed. He has like this whole idea of vengeance because he's had this traumatic experience. There's so much of this book that I feel like those kind of graphic details almost make me feel like it's more adult than young adult. Like it's definitely a higher in age young adult book. There's a lot of like graphic scenes. Then also like that experience, he now is like repulsed from touching things, so you learn like that's why he wears gloves all the time. I think that storyline is so good, and how now Inej has been captured. That whole line where he's like, I'm gonna get back my girl, I'm like, heck yeah you are. Hence why I'm so excited for the next freaking book. It's gonna be so good. We have to get the money back. We have to get Inej back. We have to make Van Eck pay. Okay, like it's gonna be good. I'm excited. I'm so excited. So here we are, Crooked Kingdom. We're gonna be reading these, what is this? It's like 500 pages? 536 pages. 536 pages to enjoy and devour of this book. Here we go. Here we go. We're doing it. We're going. Hello, hi, I'm back for another update because I've read half of Crooked Kingdom and haven't talked to you yet. Also, yes, I finally own a table, but I don't own chairs yet, so that's why there's a bar stool added. Please just ignore that in the background. Thank you. I'm really liking Crooked Kingdom so far. It is taking place just off of the kind of like cliffhanger ending of the first book, and this is still feeling very much in like the like heist story realm, but it is focused. Like, we're back at Ketterdam. We're not doing like a off on an adventure kind of big heist. It's kind of like becoming like a lot of smaller connected jobs. The writing's still really great. I still think the characters have a really fun dynamic between all of them. It's like very complex, but it's also very fun. There's a lot of like jokes and like witty humor in it that I really like. I was kind of worried that the whole book was going to be like the one heist, and I'm kind of glad it's not, because otherwise I'd be like, how is it almost 600 pages? Like, I wouldn't understand. So it's been a fun read. You also, like, I didn't even realize until I started reading Crooked Kingdom, I don't think you ever get to read Wyland's perspective in Six of Crows, and you do get to read it here, so you're getting to learn a lot of his backstory and his history, which is really interesting, as well as learning more of the other characters as well, but I feel like you already have a basis for them. So it's kind of interesting and nice that Leigh Bardugo didn't focus on him in the first book, and then it allowed him to be a more central character and to really be dived into and explored in this book, which I like, because it's like, I like Wylan. I think he's a fun little guy. He's like not that little. They're all young. They're all like teenagers, which is like weird. But I also like how it's like commented on like every now and then of somebody being like, you guys are really young. And I just find that really like self-aware comedy. So it's been a very enjoyable read. I don't know if I'm enjoying it quite as much as Six of Crows, especially the first time I read Six of Crows. Like, I couldn't put that book down. I read like 300 pages of it like in one day. I literally just like sat down and was like, with Six of Crows the first time I read it. But this one, it's still so good. I would say, like, if I had to finish it right now, I'd give it a 4.5, maybe even a 4.75, because it's still really well written. It's still giving me heist and like mind games and trickery that I really like, and the not knowing exactly what's happening until it's explained to you after kind of things that are revealed, and that's just like really enjoyable. Very solid book, as well as characters you're already connected to because of the first book you read. But I think just like that first like really big complicated heist mission with like really crazy high stakes is just like really hard to beat. I don't know if you can beat it, but I still have half the book left, so we'll see. Now, to get into a bit of spoiler mode, here we go. Spoilers. Spoiler banner is happening. I guess it's not really a banner, it's more of an outline. But for spoilers, as we know, we left off the last book with Inej was captured by Vanek. So the first thing that you're hearing is you think that they're going to try and find where Inej is to rescue her. She's being like held and like almost tortured, but then wasn't tortured by Vanek. When you thought they were trying to find out where Inej was, they actually were finding out where Vanek's wife was, so they like kidnapped her to do an exchange. And then all of the like Yurtaparam stuff is now like escalating. There's like a lot of like attacks in Ketterdam, and things are really like not cool. A lot of Grisha are being like stolen by these like shoe people who like have wings, and they're like, wait, how do these people have wings built into them? What is going on? And you find out that apparently like the shoe have been using fabricators on Param to like tailor these humans into like expert half robot army people, which is kind of crazy, and they've been like capturing Grisha. Now that they have like Inej back, they're planning to get like the Grisha out of Ketterdam along with Kuwai, because, you know, he's still hanging out. He's still very much wanted by everybody, including Vanek. So that's part of the plan, but they're also trying to get like their $30 million that they've been owed. So they have this like big complex plan of they have bought like themselves shares of sugar, and Van Eck owns like a bunch of the silos that hold sugar. Wyland has like chemistryed up this thing that is going to like eat all the sugar. It'll be like decimated in the Van Eck silos, because Inej is gonna like climb up and like tightrope drop it in. And then they've also have bought sugar owned by other people, by Van Eck, to make it look like he destroyed all the sugar himself to like drive up the sugar prices and get money. So they're gonna like ruin his name, and then also ruin his funds, and then also get money. That's the plan. And it's just kind of nervous because like we're about to start that part of this plan, and there's still half the book left, so I feel like it's not gonna go as planned, and I'm worried. I am concerned. I am not okay. But like that's where we are. Obviously like a bunch of other stuff has also happened, but I feel like that's like the main plot points that are happening, and it's interesting. I really love all of the like complex planning and the like reveals after things have happened that are going on. It's just like what I really like in these kind of like heist stories is like when you think things are going wrong, but it's actually exactly as planned. Shock! My plan for today is just to like read. I'm giving myself the day off to just enjoy. I'll probably go down on the treadmill at some point just to like not sit down on the couch all day. Yeah, for the most part, I'm gonna be reading this. Maybe I'll even finish it, who knows? Stay tuned. Okay, bye-bye. Hello. We are at the last clip of this vlog because I read the last half of Crooked Kingdom. I tell you, like, this book, I ended up giving it 5 stars. The ending really like, brought it up for me. Not that it was like low before, like I said, like the first half was giving like 4.5, but then the last half I was like, and then, you know, how could I not give it a 5 when it has me making the shocked Pikachu face every like 10 pages. So I finished Crooked Kingdom this morning, and that's only because I was like reading last night and it was like, so I was like falling asleep with the book, but I was like, I wanna keep reading it, but like my body just has too early of a bedtime. So I finished it this morning, the last like 90 pages or so, and yeah, it was just so good. I feel like it was a satisfying conclusion to the story, the way things left off. There wasn't too many like open gaps. There were like a few left, but I believe that's on purpose because of the King of Scars and Rule of Wolves duology that comes after this. There's like Shadow and Bone trilogy, and then the Six of Crows duology takes place after that by a few years, I think. And then the King of Scars duology takes place after Six Crows. In the King of Scars duology, you're following characters from the previous series and like continuing their stories in that new series, I believe. I was very happy with this book. I've had like a really wonderful week, like reading Six of Crows again and loving it, and then like reading this and loving it. I'm gonna be honest, I did that weird thing where you're so excited to read a book that you like put it off because you're like, you know you're gonna love it. You know that feeling is so good that you want to like save it. But I'm glad I finally just like did it and I like enjoyed it so much. I have to say in this one, it is different enough from Six of Crows since this is like one really big heist. And then this is kind of like a lot of tiny heists that are all interconnected in a way, and like it like tumbles into each other. So it's really interesting. Like I said before, the exploration you get into Wyland in this book is really wonderful because you don't really get that in Six of Crows. Yeah, I feel like it was just a solid book. Like for both the books in this duology to be 5 stars for me feels like really wonderful. And I'm kind of interested in reading the King of Scars duology now because I was back in the Grishaworth and I love this duology so much, but I am a little nervous because I've heard people not enjoying it as much, so that makes me like, I just want everything to be this good. But maybe I just really like heists. As we know, I love a heist. On this channel, we love a heist. So to get into some spoilers, okay? The spoiler border is back. You've been warned. Obviously, the poisoning the sugar didn't go well because there was like half a book left, and I was like so nervous. And there's like this crazy assassin comes for Inej, and she's like, whoa, I've never had anybody like challenge me this way. Nina can like control the dead. Okay, wild, crazy, unexpected. She's just like raising corpses and controlling them postpartum. So like that is an interesting thing, and it's cool, and it also kind of like makes things in the stories feel a little bit more high stake, because before, although she was a heartrender, she was still able to heal. So now that her powers have shifted and she can no longer really control living humans and now controls like the dead, it means that she can't just like heal any injury that the crew might have. I also really love all of the bonding between the crew. I feel like they get a lot closer, and you really feel like the camaraderie that comes through from it. Just so good. I feel like there's a bit that felt like perhaps you were jumping back and forth with time, and you didn't have the like timing of the clock tower like in the Six of Crows to help align you with that. So you kind of had to just remember, because sometimes you like leave off, like especially in the last couple parts of the book when everything is like falling into place and things are really high stakes. It gets to a point where every character perspective is almost leaving off at a cliffhanger, and then you're reading almost everybody's perspective before you get back to them, and you have to remember, oh yeah, they were almost dead or whatever, you know? I think it ended up being like a pretty good conclusion. I feel like it's so complex I don't even want to try and explain what they managed to do, but they did like win over Van Eyck and he's in jail, and now Wyland has all of the money and the inheritance, and his mom's not dead, he discovered, so he brought her home, and that's so nice, and Jesper's staying with him and they're assumedly together. It's not like stated, but it's like kind of implied. Kaz bought Inej her boat, and then he also had her parents found and brought to Ketterdam, and she's like, I'll be coming back. So like, although she's still planning on doing her independent thing and, you know, killing slavers and on this boat, she also still plans to like come back to Ketterdam and the Kaz. Kaz no longer wears, at the end of the book at least, he doesn't have his gloves on, which is like, whoa, big moment for him. Proud of you. It felt good that way. I was really upset that Maddie's died. Honestly, I was like the characters, and I kind of just thought all 6 of them would be fine, and they weren't, and it upset me. Like, I get it, but I also just wish my dreams came true and Maddie and Nina could just be happy and alive. Okay? But yeah, I loved it. I had such a good time. This is like such a wonderful duology. I would definitely recommend it. It is really nice to have read Shadow and Bone before this, because you do get those Easter eggs of like characters being mentioned from the previous series. However, I don't think it is required at all to read Shadow and Bone before the Six of Crows duology. So if you're just interested in some crazy fantasy heist books, this is where to go. Here it is. So that has been like this wonderful little reading week for me. So happy. And I guess like that's kind of like all I have to say. So I'll like leave it at that, and I'll just like let you go. Hopefully this encourages you to either like finally finish that duology you haven't finished yet, or just pick up Six of Crows, either for the first time or again. This is your sign to do it. If you liked this video, make sure to give it a like, give it a little thumbs up, give me a little support. Don't you want to help a girl out and like the video? Also, if you like me, consider subscribing. I would be happy to have you. Be sure to do that as well. Comment down below if you read The Six of Crows. Do you like heist novels? What were your thoughts on it if you read it? Does this video make you want to read it? Let me know. Also, do you like the spoiler banner border thing? Like, is the spoiler border good? I felt like I tried to make a spoiler-free video with the Wayward Children's vlog I did, and honestly, I just don't think it's quite as entertaining as when I get to talk about everything that happens in a book. But I also understand that some people don't want everything in a book told to them in a vlog, even though like that's just kind of the content I like to make sometimes. So I thought I'd try it out, so that if you just want some of my thoughts overall on things, then there you go. If not, I don't know, maybe I'll throw it out the window. I'll never spoiler border again. Stay tuned for that. So yeah, with that, I guess I'll say farewell, toodaloo, and I will see you in the next one. I hope you are having a wonderful day today. Bye-bye.